Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Welcome to the Sunday Movie Marathon.
Hey, Max.
Yeah.
El fucko.
We'll not have such profanities in this chat. Hello. We're coming to you over Zoom today, once more, because obviously we're still in lockdown. And I think this is just how it's going to be until we get out of lockdown, because I think we could watch these movies separately and just talk about them on the podcast, but the point of this podcast to us is that we all get together and have fun.
I don't think I would have found Ninja Dragon as funny as I did if I was sitting there on my own.
No, yeah, there's something like maybe that would have even been like a bit more sad, you know?
Yeah, I definitely would have turned that movie off like halfway through and just cried.
Just made up your opinion on it, like.
Yeah, it's a really good film. Yeah, what'd you think of the ending? It was an ending.
I'll be honest, I turned it off. It was so bad that I turned it off.
There were credits. There was an ending. It was ambiguous.
Yeah. So today, instead of doing the movie reviews, we've got some questions that we can ask instead.
Yeah. Movie-related questions or questions relating to like the film genre or film industry that we're going to ask, and then each other will answer. And that's probably what we're going to have to do, like Max said, until the end of lockdown. So, enjoy.
Should we start with...
So, should we just go in the order that we usually watch the movies in? So, it'll be Chris, you, then me.
Yeah, that's what I thought anyway.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Sure.
So, Chris, what is your question for me and old Macca Packer?
So I think I put it in the chat the other day, actually. It was the idea of, can you stop sticking your middle finger up at me? You are bringing shame onto this podcast. The question was essentially, how many sequels in a franchise is too many sequels? Because I was thinking of loads of franchises, and I think all of them, after the third movie, get shit. Like, I could think of almost no franchises where there's like a fourth film or anything after that where it's actually good.
Do you not remember watching the Shrek marathon?
Yeah.
I do. I stand by my point. Although the fourth one's actually not that bad.
I can't remember much of it because I fell asleep.
No, the fourth one was good.
Is that the one where... it's the one where he goes into like a different universe or something, isn't it?
Yeah, Rumpelstiltskin says, I'll give you a different life. So he goes into an alternate universe. Shenanigans ensue.
Fucking hell.
What a day that was. That took ages.
Yeah.
We had to watch we had to watch the third one at 1.5 times speed because it was so boring.
It's nothing like the Dark Knight trilogy, though. That took ages as well, but that was significantly better.
Yeah.
But no, Chris, your question, when you think about it, I think most movie franchises that have gone on too long have sort of gotten worse as they've gone on. I mean, you think about it, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, the Halloweens, the Fast and the Furious films, I think they've just cashed in at that point on the actual title and fan base of the films, but there's been so little passion put into the films. And I think the different directors that have taken on some of these projects and changed, I mean, looking at Halloween, there's 3 different timelines in the span of 9 films. And then you get to Halloween H2O, which just retcons every film that isn't Halloween 2. So everything from Halloween 2 onwards is just null and void.
And then Halloween 2018, where the only film that actually happened was the first one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Halloween 2019 was actually really good, and I hope that the pace that they've, or the pace and the quality and just the film itself is kept in a similar way as what that one was, because I think it was very fresh for the franchise after the amount of shit that we got from actual Halloween 2, which I would say was one of the last good Halloween films other than H2O.
Yeah.
But as they've just gone on, and there's a very big parallel between, I think, the three major not slasher movies, but horror movies, which would be Halloween, Nightmare, and Friday, that as the films did progress and they got to like the 7th and 8th sequel, it was just so unrecognizable for what the film originally was. You just have to think, like, what was the point?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I think that
I'm pretty sure when I was going to say,
Chris.
when I asked a question in the chat, Reed came in and said that the answer is there's no such thing as too many sequels. It's all dependent on when the films start taking away from the story or something instead of adding to it. But I feel like a lot of sequels after like the third film, if they don't like ruin the story, they just don't really do anything. Like, they don't really add on to it at all. Like, I think of something like Harry Potter, that was actually like a long franchise where every film's like set over a year and you watch the characters grow, and they're like every single film I think is kind of necessary. But a lot of franchises don't do that, so after you get to the third film, there's not really much you can do after that.
I think that's
I
why.
think
Carry on, Max. Sorry.
I think in like the case of like the Harry Potter movies, they do have like the books to go off as well, and there is a story that J.K. Rowling herself planned out beforehand, and she knew that it had to get to a point at the very end, and she planned out how many books she was going to write. But of course, like they obviously started making the Fantastic Beasts movies afterwards, and that just seems like an afterthought to cash in on the Harry Potter franchise.
What would you say about the Twilight franchise then? Because I'm pretty sure there were books before the films, and I haven't seen them in years, a lot of time, fucking ages. But there's like, what, 4 or 5 of them films? 5? Is there?
Yeah, there are 5 of them. I think that with the Twilight movies, that's just like a case where it's just bad from the beginning, from the offset, because the source material, I don't think the source material is very highly regarded at all. I think there like people look down on those novels, so I think that's just one that's sort of messed up from the beginning.
I was listening to a podcast that was mentioned like stupid plots in films, and one of the plots that they brought up was the fact that in Twilight they can only play like baseball when it's a thunderstorm, because when they hit the baseball it sounds like lightning. So
yeah,
I YouTubed the scene because I could not remember seeing it throughout any of the films, and I thought he was joking, and then I watched it and was like, oh my god, this is awful. But like, have you ever realised watching all the Twilight films just how bad the colour grading was over all of them films? Because I complained about what was it, the piano, and one of the what are the movies? Dusk Till Dawn ones about the colour grading that they used on that. I don't think I'd be able to stomach watching any of the Twilight movies again, just from how bad they look.
Yeah, well, we'll just have to see about that, won't we? Because they're going to come up at some point.
Maybe.
I didn't buy those Blu-rays for nothing.
But do you think like Marvel sort of cottoned on to the fact that anything past like a trilogy may have been like perceived as bad films, or like the lack of ideas, which is why the majority of their Infinity Gauntlet sort of saga of films have only ever been in trilogies? Captain America for well, that's getting a 4th one now, but that's only as of late, and Iron Man.
Yeah, I think 3 films like a nice round number. Like, it's enough for you to progress the character and the story and stuff without it getting stale. And I think, they must have thought of that.
But then you get films like 4, where I would say the first 2 films are some of the worst MCU films that I've seen, in my opinion. 4, 1 and 2. 4, 2 is probably one of the worst MCU films that they've done. 4, 1 is significantly better, but not great. When they got to the 3rd one, it was probably one of the only decent 4 movies that they've done. So now that they've started creating like a 4th, and they're going to have what I expect like to be maybe a 5th movie, even though that breaks like the trilogy threshold, they're the type of movies that started off very bad, but they're only just going to get better as they go on because of the direction that the character's going in now. And like what Reed said in the group chat, it's not really about sequels at that point. It would just be how they're improving on the character and the storyline and the lore and world building behind that character. But I don't think a lot of films have that go into like the sequels past like 4 or 5. I think when you get to the 7th or 8th film in a franchise, I think it's very difficult to keep the original qualities of the film that made it good while expanding and not going in a ridiculous direction.
Yeah, well, in the case of the Thor movies, those first 2 are not very good. But in the third one, I put it down to the change in director, and Marvel actually
Taika
hired
Waititi was so much better.
Yeah, a good director, a proven good director, and he's probably like the main reason that the new Thor is coming out as well. So I think when Marvel put their trust in these good directors like Taika Waititi, like James Gunn, we get better results, and we see just the better filmmaking and better creativity, and people want to watch them.
Yeah, I was like really happy when James Gunn was rehired for Guardians 3. I think it would have been a very different film if he had not been there to direct it.
Yeah, I've not enjoyed James Gunn's films outside of Guardians of the Galaxy, but I think he brings such a like unique style and flavour to that film that without him it wouldn't be anywhere near as good as enjoyable.
Well, you think when I like early or late last year when I rewatched the whole of the MCU, I think as soon as it got to Guardians, I think that was the first film where there was just so much vibrance and colour injected to the film, and anything outside of that, other than Doctor Strange, is very grey, dull tones, very neutral, and it was just refreshing to see that kind of style in the film. And then from there on, I just think more films have picked that up a little bit.
Yeah, it was definitely a breath of fresh air, because I also did a MCU marathon recently as well. And when you do get to
we should make a podcast where we review them.
I'm sure we'll get around to them, well, a few of them maybe, on this podcast. But I wouldn't want to sit through all like 25 films or whatever that is now.
I think with the MCU, we're just going to have to do a separate video just reviewing them rather than actually watching them, because we've all seen them.
Yeah. Too many times now for some of them.
I think it would take so long to watch 25 or 20, 22, 23 films at this point.
Especially when they're all like 2.5 hours long, at least.
Well, yeah, then you get to like Infinity War and Endgame where it's like 3.5 or something.
Yeah,
or
bit
3,
much.
Whatever it is, yeah. But, yeah, I actually can't think, other than like what Max said, like I'm not a massive Harry Potter fan, but I did enjoy watching the films. I wouldn't sit down and watch them of my own accords if they came up in the selection for the marathon, or I was with a group of friends that wanted to watch them. I'd watch them and I'd enjoy them and I'd be able to follow along. I don't really have a vested interest in the world itself, but they're good movies. They're directed well. The acting's very good. Like you both said, the story has progressed each film. But what film? Do you know any franchises that have gone like above the 4th or 5th sequel that are actually good? Like Final Destination is another one where it just got very stale after a while.
Yeah, I would say like
I can't think of any.
I maybe Mission Impossible. Like, I wouldn't say though any of those movies are like amazing. I haven't seen the last one yet, but apparently that was really a really good action movie. But they've stayed like relatively consistent in
what
quality.
one? What's the latest Mission Impossible? What was it?
Fallout.
Yeah, Fallout was pretty good. I enjoyed watching it. That's the one with Henry Cavill in, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think, Jesus, I've only just realised this. We're forgetting one of the biggest franchises that has had just as many sequels as the MCU.
Oh,
007.
yeah. Well, that's like a case of like when you get like a new Bond character, it's almost like a reboot, like they do with like Doctor Who.
Would you say it's more like anthology stitched together in a sense? Because every story, because every story's different. But with that one, it is a bit tricky because they're definitely not sequels because they are not referenced in any of the films. I think maybe M references another 007 agent briefly in like one of the films. I can't remember. But I think what is it? Daniel Craig's James Bond is just about to. Is it his 5th film that he's just about to make, or his 4th?
4.
Sure.
No.
Yeah, because there's Casino Royale,
no,
Quantum of Solace. 5th, yeah. So
and Skyfall and then Spectre.
Yeah, and then whatever Good Day to Die or something. This one is, isn't it?
No Time to Die.
No Time
Or
to
something.
Die. Yeah. How mad is it that like all of these films? I think the James Bond films have some of the best opening soundtracks ever. Like they're just I've loved every song that they've opened a James Bond movie with. Isn't it mad that the new James Bond movie is opening up with Billie Eilish? Considering considering like how new to the industry, well, not new, but just how short.
Well, she's quite
been
new.
in the. Yeah, she's new. She's been doing music for ages, but she's only just now gotten into the mainstream like public eye.
Yeah, very well done to her.
Oh yeah, no, massively.
Pretty crazy.
But I think it's a bit of an accomplishment when you've got people like Adele doing like themes for it as well, like intro themes, like to be up there and like regarded as like on par, is crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really proved herself. Off on like main stages now at festivals.
Yeah, what was it, Chris? You said she had like the biggest crowd ever at Reading.
Yeah. It was ridiculous how crowded it was when we saw her at Reading last year.
Yeah, I'd have been like, nope. Going back to my.
I think I would extend Chris's question to also like television as well, because there is a certain point where television series sort of peter out, and they don't really don't have a clear direction as to where they're going, but they just do it anyway because they need the money.
Not only that, but I think let's take a season of a show, Scrubs, for example. The first 8 seasons of Scrubs were really good. Like it's one of my favorite TV shows, and I think 8 seasons didn't feel too long. It felt just right. But then they decided to bring it back for a 9th season, which was one too many. But it wasn't the 9th season that ruined it just by having 9 seasons. It was the 9th season was just very shit.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
Yeah, for sure.
No, it absolutely awful. But like then you've got shows like Friends, where that was like 10 seasons long, and like I'm up to like the 3rd season at the moment, 3.5 seasons in. And even though I've seen it all before, like loads of times, I'm still I'm still enjoying it.
Yeah, I think Friends it had a good run. I think it stays consistent for me. But with a show like that's been going on forever now, which is The Simpsons, they're still going, they're not stopping, but the content has just gotten bad. So I think they probably should have stopped a while ago.
Yeah, every time
they
I
could
talk
have
to someone
stopped
about
around
The Simpsons,
season 10.
Yeah, every time I talk to someone about the seasons, they always say like the same thing as what you guys say. Whereas like the first few seasons or the first half of the seasons are really good, but the latter half are just very poor, and like you guys said, the jokes just don't land as much as they used to, and they're very flat.
It's not even the latter half anymore. The first 10 seasons were great. The last 22 or whatever they've done have been shit. They're on season
how many
like
seasons
32.
are there? Holy
32,
shit, mate! I thought there was only 20.
No,
but to be fair, I'm on like season 13 now, and it's still decent. It's still good. I still have a few laughs.
Yeah, I'm on season 15, I think, because I've been rewatching them all. And yeah, it's still not terrible. It's not till about season 20 or so that it actually gets like borderline unwatchable.
I think South Park
it just goes on too
has been a TV show that has managed to stay fresh throughout like its 23 or 24 seasons at the moment. But I think that's mainly based on the fact that the creators and writers, or whatever they are, of the show are just so quick at churning out episodes that everything that happens in real life is on the next episode of South Park. Like, relatively
it's always
quickly.
current and up to date.
Yeah,
I would
so
say
there's
there are-
none of that, like...
I was going to say there are episodes
So-
and even a couple seasons that aren't great, but for the most part, it's like fairly consistent.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely done well for how many seasons it's gone up to now. And I think at this point, they're just trying to push it as far as they can before they just get banned or cancelled.
I think they'll stay on for a while because they
Well,
just
yeah.
like they see what's trending and they see what's going on in the world, and the episodes, like, artistically that show is like very simplistic. I won't say it looks bad, but it's just simple, and they could probably make an episode in no time at all and just get that out immediately to
Mhm.
correspond with what's going on in the world.
They make an episode in 7 days and get it.
Yeah, there we go. But that's like a feat in itself, because it's not just about the art style, it's about the writing as well.
Yeah,
And
I was about to say
The writing
that
is
there.
still really great.
Jesus Christ, Max, from the Zoom call that I'm watching you on, because your background blurs out a lot of everything else, it just looked like you were drinking nothing.
Yeah,
It was just
I got my water
An
here.
invisible bottle of water, and then just a liquid went into your mouth. I was like, what the fuck's going on? I would have to agree with what Reed said, and I don't think it is about sequels. I think it is just about whether the writing drops off, the story drops off, and whether the film itself is just left or strayed so far away from what made it great that it's just become unrecognisable.
Yeah.
The thing that I was trying to get at is that after a few sequels, there's not really anything else you can add to it. Like Harry Potter, that's kind of different because obviously they had it planned going in, but a lot of the time they don't have that. So like going into it every couple of years, trying to make a new film, trying to find something to add, and a lot of the time they can't. But that was a big problem with the sequel trilogy with Star Wars. They went into that without a clear plan of where to go, and they basically just got a different director in for the 8th film who wanted to take it in a different direction, then brought J.J. Abrams back, who was like trying to take it back in some sort of direction that he originally planned, but even then it just felt super unfocused because it didn't feel like they had a clear vision. And I think that's the problem with sequels going on so long.
Yeah, there's only so much of a story you can tell before you are just churning out the cash cow. And like when Max brought up Mission Impossible earlier, although they are entertaining films, they're done very well, they look beautiful, the acting's quite good. When you dial it down, it is just Tom Cruise saving the world for the 6th time. And at this point, I think the films are just going to get very stale, because what more can you do?
Yeah, in a way, but it is that, but it's also, Tom Cruise doing Mission Impossible for the 6th time. He's just been constantly doing it, and he does his own stunts. It's like crazy. He broke his leg on Mission Impossible Fallout. I just like seeing
sprained his ankle,
good the action
broke
is.
his ankle.
Yeah.
But I think obviously there is an excitement about watching the film and seeing Tom Cruise risk his life again, but it is just him saving the world again. The story is the exact same. He's betrayed by his own government. He saves the world. All is well until the next one where he's betrayed by the government. He saves the world.
Yeah. How long till
And
that
it's
gets
epic.
stale though?
Well, exactly. But then you look at Fast and Furious, where they're doing the exact same thing as Mission Impossible, where it's just the same thing one after the other. But Mission Impossible has done it very well, whereas Fast and Furious is just shit. Do you guys know that what was it? I was watching this YouTube channel, and like Vin Diesel got pissed off because he's like the third or fourth most famous bald guy in the Fast and Furious franchise.
Yeah, you got The Rock, Jason Statham, and Vin Diesel.
Yeah,
Vin
but no,
Diesel's
you've
not
also
a good
got
actor.
Tyrese or something. Whoever plays Tyrese, the black bald guy, I'd put him above Vin Diesel.
Yeah, well, what has Vin Diesel been good in? Like nothing. Like
Mate,
Guardians of the
Iron
Galaxy and Iron Giant, where he has to take like a line, and that's it.
Vin Diesel, I think, is one of the biggest reasons why the Fast and Furious films have gotten worse and worse since he became a producer and has said that in no script can he ever lose a fight. And The Rock has said the exact same thing. Like, it's just two egos trying to fit themselves into this film, and it's just not very good. It doesn't make for good storytelling. They're focused too much on how their character's perceived rather than how the story progresses.
It's not even their character in the film, it's like how they themselves are perceived. Because they can't act, every character they play is just an extension of themselves.
Hey man.
So if they lose a fight in the film, then it's basically like them losing a fight in real life.
No. Have you seen the diversity in Dwayne Johnson's films? You've got Jumanji, you've got Welcome to the Jungle.
The Pacifier.
Yeah.
Southland Tales.
There's
bad.
Is the Pacifier the one where like Dwayne Johnson gives his daughter who's allergic to nuts like a bar of peanuts or something?
I thought it was where he was a baby.
I've not watched it in years.
Oh well, there's a film with Dwayne Johnson in it where he plays like there's a film with Dwayne Johnson in it where he plays like this famous rugby star or American football star, and then he finds that he has a daughter and the mum's dead, and then like he looks after this daughter and she's allergic to peanuts and he gives her peanuts, and then he's like, oh fuck, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Wasn't he in the Tooth Fairy?
You know what?
As well?
One day we'll have to do. That was Vin Diesel, I think.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure Vin Diesel was in the Pacifier.
Oh yeah,
it
it was.
might have been Vin Diesel was the Pacifier, and then The Rock was the Tooth Fairy.
It's just basically the same film.
These people are interchangeable.
Isn't John
Just the
Cena like
same.
in one of those like very childish films now or something?
What, Fred? He's in the
Maybe.
Fred
He
movie.
was in the Fred
Isn't he in
movie.
Stepdad as well? Is he in Stepdads? No, not Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Uh,
These movie titles all sound the same.
Oh, it's so weird. Did you say John Cena was in Fred?
Yeah, Fred the movie.
Yeah, so-
He
Oh.
played Fred's dad.
Oh, fucking hell.
There's a scene where
It's
when
awful.
Fred goes to get something out of the fridge, and he opens the fridge, and John Cena's just in there.
Oh yeah.
Why?
It's like that scene in the Joker. Imagine if we saw that in like Joker, where he goes into the fridge and he comes out and he's John Cena.
Wasn't that part of the film improvised in Joker? Didn't Joaquin Phoenix just do it on a whim or something? I don't know if I heard that correctly.
Probably.
What, they like had a fridge there, and then they like he was like, guys, I'm getting into the fridge.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure I heard somewhere that scene was either that scene was crucial for his story or that scene was improvised. I don't really know which one it was.
I don't know. Who knows? It's a DC movie.
Yeah.
Whatever. My question is thus. So obviously the pandemic's hit us and it's hit us hard. And the movie industry has suffered. Films have been delayed. A lot of films. So my question is, what of these delayed movies were you most excited to see?
Black Widow.
For sure.
Yeah, that and the new James Bond movie. I was pretty stoked to see them.
Yeah. James Bond was like, it was supposed to come out in
January.
January this year, and then it was delayed until like December or November.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
just
And then Black
indefinite.
Widow was supposed to come out. Black Widow was supposed to come out in May, and that's been pushed back a whole year.
Yeah. Jesus. Well, it's because these big companies, they want to release their their money makers when everyone is able to see him. It's like Disney released Mulan on like their Disney Plus streaming service, and that I don't think that did very well at all. So
Probably because you had to pay extra for it.
Yeah, you had to have
Yeah.
a subscription and pay for the film.
Yeah. Eventually, like about a month ago, they made it so you can rent it on like Prime or whatever. You didn't have to have a subscription. It was like £20 cheaper as well.
Fucking hell. It's mad. But, Chris, what films were you excited about that aren't coming out now?
I think the biggest one for me was The French Dispatch, which is the new film directed by Wes Anderson,
mhm.
who's one of my favourite directors. I've never got the chance to see any of his films in the cinema, so I was like super excited for it. And also Last Night in
What
Soho.
other stuff has he done?
Did the
Yeah.
Grand Budapest Hotel, Fantastic Mr. Fox, The Royal Tenenbaums is my favourite film he's done. He does a lot of really weird, dark comedies.
When you said Wes Anderson, I instantly thought the guy who did Nightmare on Elm Street, but that's Wes Craven.
Yeah, different guy.
Wes Craven.
Too many of these Wests, man.
Yeah. And there was also Last Night in Soho, the new Edgar Wright film. I love Edgar Wright.
Yeah,
I've loved everything he's done except for his like really old student film, which classed as his debut. But yeah, everything from Shaun of the Dead onwards. It's great.
that man's just consistently on a roll.
I think, wasn't the new Halloween supposed to come out this year as well?
Yeah. So new Halloween
Yeah,
and
I'm pretty
the
bummed
new
about that.
Saw film was supposed to come out this October, but they delayed both of them.
Oh yeah, Spiral.
There's another new Saw film.
Yeah.
Spiral from the Book of Saw,
What?
featuring
Is that actually what it's called?
Yeah.
featuring is it Marty from Madagascar?
Yeah, Chris Rock. He
What the fuck?
stars in it and he also
Yeah.
wrote it. Apparently he had the idea for it, just went
Oh.
into Lionsgate Studios like completely like uninvited and was like, this is my idea for a new Saw film, and they were like, yeah, sure man, let's do it.
Fuck me,
Yeah, I'm
that's
not
another film
surprised.
franchise that has gone on too long.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not surprised about that because Lionsgate, I do not like them as a company now
No.
because
I'm pretty
they've been
sure-
delaying a lot of
I'm pretty sure
movies.
in Chris's Cold to the Touch, when Callum was pitching new movies and he pitched like an Independence Day movie, he said he'd pitch it to Lionsgate because it was shit.
Yeah,
or
they have
something
nothing
like
left.
that.
They used to have like the Hunger Games.
The Saw films kind of stopped being good after the second film, but I love them so much because they're so hilarious and convoluted. Like the story's just gotten so ridiculous and like there's so many huge plot holes. It's just, they're always fun to watch because
Yeah.
it's just how dumb it is.
The film just doesn't make sense anymore. None of them do.
No. Yeah, I was looking forward to Halloween, but
Alas,
So that must mean that the film is finished then.
yeah, both the Saw film and Halloween's finished. Yeah. Someone like
Mate, I can't imagine seeing.
someone tweeted
carry on.
Lionsgate and said, why don't you just like put it on streaming to rent, like for the new Saw film? And their response was, trust us, you really want to see this in the cinema.
oh yeah, oh dear.
I don't think I actually want to be fair.
Lionsgate are like just this. Well, they're like a bitch company, really, aren't they? Like, they have nothing
They're-
left now. They used
they're
to
a
have the
beta
Hunger Games. They
company.
don't have that. They'll like reboot the Hunger Games at some point, so they have something to work with. All they've got is like John Wick now and Spiral from the Book of Saw. They're the ones who are supposed to be releasing Chaos Walking, which is a movie that I desperately want to see because I love the books, but I know this has been like a dumpster fire of a production. And like the other month, I think they were supposed to release a trailer for it, and they were like,
I was going
"Ooh."
to say, is
And then
this
it
the one
didn't
that you
happen.
said? Yeah, is this the one when they said like if we get to 1 million followers, we release it, and then everyone's just been tweeting release the Chaos
Yeah.
trailer or something?
It's gotten to a point now where you go on the Lionsgate Twitter, everything they've tweeted, every reply is to do with Chaos Walking. And like every reply is just release the trailer, release the Chaos Walking trailer. We want the Chaos Walking trailer. Okay, like I'm under the presumption that people still think it's going to be good, but I think it's just because they've read the books and they love the books. But I do love the books, but I don't think this movie is going to be good.
Why are they not releasing a trailer?
I don't know.
It's meant to come out in January. It's not meant to come out in 2 months. So.
Chris, a lot of films were meant to come out this year. Oh, in January.
Next January.
January just gone.
I think it was. To be
Do you
fair,
think that's going to
but
happen?
2021.
Probably not.
No. But like it's just going to be like a thing like with the New Mutants where they just like dumped it on the cinema. They were like,
can you
whatever.
please not mention that movie ever again?
Thank the Lord that wasn't delayed any further. We got to see that in premium, high quality cinema extravaganza.
Yeah, man. After 4 years of delays, I'm so glad I saw that movie.
Yeah, it was really good.
It was pretty funny.
Every time we walked past a baby crier, Max went, they've definitely seen New Mutants.
Yeah, well, what do you want from me? It was a bad movie.
It was an awful movie.
I think Tenet's like the only big blockbuster film to come out this year. And that was like
and it made like nothing.
Big failure because of Corona.
I was going to say, I literally don't know, other than Black Widow, James Bond, and the Halloween movie, I had no clue what else was supposed to be coming out this year.
Well, here's one of the big ones that I really, really wanted to see because it's by my favourite director,
Shrek
Denis Villeneuve.
5.
No, Dune.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've heard
Dune.
a lot of people say about that.
That was going to come out like this month or maybe next month. It's been delayed by a year now.
Oh,
I'm so mad.
Fucking hell. Man, I'll be 26 by the time that film comes out.
Yeah, we're all dying so fast and everything's just being delayed.
Yep. It's not only old age killing us anymore, it's Corona.
Yeah, and waiting
Do you
for
reckon-
movies.
Do you think the cast of Fast and Furious have just built up an immunity to coronavirus just because of the amount of Corona beers that they've drunk over the past 9 films or so?
Or they've caused it.
Culmination of like 8 shitty films and a constant need for Corona being shoved in them.
So much Corona, it's just like permeated into the air, into the atmosphere itself, contributed to like global warming, and now we're just reaping the reward. All the Coronas coming down again, and
It didn't actually
us
come
all.
from bats, it came from Vin Diesel.
Came from Groot himself.
Fucking hell. Yeah, they're the films that I was interested in seeing. I probably would have wanted to see a lot more if I knew if anything else was coming out. But
At least we got Borat
alas,
too.
it's 2024, yeah. That's true.
We did. I didn't see it, but yeah, we got it.
It was,
I haven't watched it yet. I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, it was pretty hilarious.
There was that Ryan Reynolds movie, Free Guy, where he plays an NPC. That's not coming out now.
Is that? I was gonna say, is that out?
I thought it came out.
No,
to
it's
be
not
fair.
going to come out for a while. No, it's delayed. People
It's
want
gonna
to
be
see it, I
shit.
guess. Or the gamer
Chris.
crowd.
Chris, here's a game for you. Think of any film that you wanted to see, and then just add on 12 months to when you want to see it.
Okay.
Maybe even more.
Yeah, and that's realistically a time frame that you're going to see that movie in.
Pretty much. The French Dispatch doesn't even have a new release date yet. They've just said it's not coming out this year.
Fucking hell. Mate, don't
No.
you think it would be mad if, like, instead of ending lockdown on the 2nd of December, they say, like, oh, no, we're going to carry on going until March because the R number isn't decreasing, and then James Bond has to postpone itself for, like, another year.
Yeah, those poor Cineworld workers don't go back to work for another year.
Well, they just have to find work elsewhere, won't they?
Yeah.
Chris, I don't think the Cineworld workers are going back to work at all.
No. Cineworld's meant to be reopening when that film comes out, but who knows when that's going to be.
What, James Bond?
Yeah. that's why they closed, is because it's been delayed. So they were like, there's no point in staying open if there's not like a big film coming out. So they said they'll reopen when that film comes out.
Well, Tenet was like a sort of experiment for if films could perform in this social climate.
Yeah.
And
it didn't go well.
Didn't go well, no.
It just about made its budget back.
Companies have been deterred from that.
Yeah.
No, but like with a Christopher Nolan movie, you want to make like big bucks, don't you? He pours so much money into those films that you want to see the returns on it, and he didn't get it.
No.
I can understand why studios aren't releasing films, but then at the same time, like we said in like one of the very first podcasts, if like half the cinemas close, that's half your market gone. So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. You're not going to make money either way.
No, not really. Well, you know, we got people, studios sort of turning to, and just like directors on their own turning to Netflix, and they've funded a lot of movies this year as well. And they've been producing a lot of good stuff.
Maybe the studios should just take the government test, and it will tell them what they'd be good at for a profession, and they should just get a new job.
Maybe.
That's the way it's heading. Sad as that is.
We'll end the MCU on Endgame.
No, the last one was Spider-Man.
You've got to keep going for 100 more years.
Yeah, I've erased that, Chris. That's a Sony film. Sony film partnered and directed by Marvel.
Yeah, still in the universe though.
But it's not. Yeah, but it's not on Disney Plus. So if you're watching the MCU, then Spider-Man's unfortunately not on there.
Yeah, you got to buy
No,
it.
it's not. Well, they can't get the rights to it.
Nah. Do you know what's weird about that though? Sony have the rights to do live action Spider-Man movies, and specifically live action 60-minute episodes of Spider-Man series, whereas Marvel only have the rights to do 30-minute animated Spider-Man shows. It's weird how the rights work for that.
Yeah, that's
like
weird.
Hulk.
That is weird.
Yeah, it's like Hulk. Marvel don't have the rights to do a standalone Hulk movie, but they have the right to put the character into other films, whereas whatever company own Hulk at the moment, Universal, whatever, have the right to do standalone Hulk movies.
There's no point in keeping the rights because they're not going to make a Hulk movie.
Would you guys want to see a Hulk movie? If Marvel made one? Would you want to see it?
Well, yeah, it
now
depends.
With Mark Ruffalo?
Yeah, it depends what Hulk movie. Like, you've got in the comics, you've got some amazing Hulk storylines. You've got Planet Hulk and World War Hulk, which if they were translated into films, they'd be fucking incredible. Like, amazing storylines these would be. Thor Ragnarok actually took aspects of Planet Hulk, put them into, which is why Hulk was found on a distant planet, which is what the Planet Hulk storyline is about. But World War Hulk would have been a very good movie if they could actually do it well, and I think it would have made a very good Avengers movie, because essentially it's the Hulk at his most powerful, coming back to Earth after decades of being exiled, and he just kills every single Avenger because they murdered his family.
Wow, it's dark.
Batshit. Yeah, it's batshit crazy. But then you've got like alternate universes where the Hulk is evil, and like one of the very last Avengers is Old Man Logan. So you've got Old Man Logan fighting like King Hulk, which is a very good storyline.
Yeah, I'm not like averse to a Hulk movie being made. I think that in a way the Marvel Studios has sort of written itself into a corner with their MCU, because while it's highly successful, and you know we do still see these movies in the cinema, that the revenue is only going up, but you sort of leave out any potential to do standalone movies that aren't part of the MCU, so you can't explore like different storylines in the comics if they're not going to line up with what has already been established. So I think that's kind of.
I guess that's where the multiverse can come into play. I think the Phase 4 of Marvel's gonna be very, very different to the first 3 phases in the terms that they're gonna heavily rely on the multiverse as a storytelling aspect. Probably of a way of introducing the X-Men and Galactus as maybe the next sort of Thanos villain.
Yeah.
And doing stuff like that, you can introduce like very different versions of each character. I mean, there's that rumor going around at the moment that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are going to play brief cameos as their respective Spider-Men in the third Spider-Man film, which I think would be a bit too rushed at the moment, because from the way that it sounds, they're trying to set up the Sinister Six and introduce a multiverse in this one film, and that's borderline like Spider-Man 3 Tobey Maguire territory, where there's just too much going on in the film.
Amazing Spider-Man 2. There was just like 20 plot lines in that film.
Yeah, it just didn't end well. But yeah, I can't even remember what Max's question was, in all fairness. We answered it, I know that.
About film delays.
Yeah, just what movies
movies we
would
wanted
have seen.
to see.
Oh, I've got one
carried
more.
away talking about comic books.
One more I wanted to see was the new David Lowery movie called The Green Knight, which features Dev Patel, and he directed A Ghost Story, David Lowery, and that's one of my favourite movies, so I'm just sort of up for anything that he's doing.
What's
now.
A Ghost Story about? Because you've just got a poster of that, haven't you?
Yeah, it's like it's a romance movie, sort of cosmic, about a guy who passes away, and he sort of lives out the rest of eternity. I mean, well, it's sort of whatever you interpret from it, really. It's sort of I see it sort of like he lives out the rest of eternity, just sort of in the same house that he and his girlfriend were in, and she leaves, and all the time sort of revolves around him as he keeps waiting for her.
Oh, damn.
Very sad.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a very good eternity to live in.
It was a very sad
But
film.
I love it. It's a great movie.
Yeah, it was great. It was just very depressing.
Yeah, definitely. Cry every time.
Pussy.
What?
Apparently David Lynch was meant to be making a film, but he cancelled any ideas of making a new film because of COVID.
Oh my god!
Man.
What would it even be?
Who knows?
He's just crazy now.
Yeah, he's not made an actual film in like 13, 14 years now.
No. He makes his short films.
So, I'll ask my question.
Mm-hmm.
So, mine is, what would you say is the greatest, or some of the greatest cinematic moments in history? Now, I don't mean, there's two ways you can interpret this question. There's one, which is like films like The Avengers being one of the most anticipated crossover events in like the last decade, which was an amazing moment in cinematic history. But I'm talking more about like film releases. Like, I think I hear a lot about The Exorcist being one of the greatest moments in cinema itself, just from how scary the film was. I mean, there was people fainting, throwing up, passing out, leaving the theater just from that movie being shown. And it just kind of got me thinking, like, what are some of the greatest moments in cinema? Like, whether it was like a revolutionary style of filming being brought to a new film, to a new audience, whether it was an actor displaying an amazing scene, whether it was a film itself, just that sort of stuff.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I'm really not sure, to be honest.
Because no, carry on then, Chris. Go for it.
I was going to say maybe the release of like the first Star Wars film. That was like one of the first big summer blockbuster films. That and like Jaws, I think. Like the first sort of films where people were lining around the block to see, and they were selling millions and millions of tickets. And then of course they were like the first film to do like merchandise and stuff, like sell toys and stuff like that. That was a pretty huge moment in cinema, and it pretty much changed everything. Like pretty much any film like Avengers or anything like that owes a lot to the original Star Wars movie.
I always find it funny that when George Lucas sold the movie rights to Star Wars, or allowed a movie to be made, he was like, I don't want to take any money from the films themselves, but I want to take the rights to the merchandise. And the film studio was like, yeah, right then. And just how much money that guy has made from that one decision. It's just incredible.
Yeah, because of course at the time no one was...
Absolutely. Well, he knew how to market them before.
Yeah. But, yeah, I'm just going to bring it up because, like I've said to you, Chris, many a times, it's a very sad and somber moment when I realise that I can't relive this moment again. But I do think the Avengers Endgame was and will be one of the greatest moments in cinema itself. Because I don't think there has been such an anticipated movie than that.
I don't know. The Force Awakens was pretty huge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
but then The
definitely.
Force Awakens was a shit film, whereas Endgame wasn't.
Shit. It was fine for what it is.
All three of those films are terrible.
But with The Force Awakens, it brings about like it brought about a new era for Star Wars. And before people saw it, they didn't know that it was going to be like one way or the other. They didn't know what they were going to think of it. It was Star Wars again.
Yeah, the first Star Wars film in 10 years.
Just crazy about it.
Yeah, that is pretty mad when you think about it. Look, that's almost like Dave Chappelle coming back to comedy after like a decade off. It was a very big anticipated moment. But yeah, I just remember going to like the midnight screening for Avengers Endgame, and it just being such a very like unique atmosphere, because we went to the midnight screening for Infinity War as well, didn't we, Chris?
Yeah, the experience of both those films
and then
were
we
great. Like it felt special being in a cinema full of huge fans like that who were all like super anticipating it. And just obviously there's a lot of like great fan service moments in those films, especially Endgame, where you got bits like Captain America catching Thor's hammer and stuff like that. Moments like that. It was kind of magical sitting in the cinema for that. But I felt kind of the same way watching The Force Awakens in the cinema when that first came out, because I was with loads of people who are huge Star Wars fans, waited 10 years for a new Star Wars film, and little moments like seeing the Millennium Falcon for the first time in decades, seeing Han Solo come in, bits like that, like the entire crowd like started cheering and stuff, and that happens like every 5-10 minutes in that film.
And then they killed off Han Solo, they ruined Luke Skywalker's character, and they did a really funny scene where Princess Leia was out in the vacuum of space and floated back.
Yeah, flew like Mary Poppins.
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. Such a funny film. I think I went to the midnight screening for the 9th Star Wars movie with one of my friends, and I have never felt more sorry for a Star Wars fan than when we left the screening for that film. And I can tell you now that I don't think there was any happy cinema goers that left that screening.
No,
in all honesty, from what I saw.
I saw it the day after, the day it came out, but we didn't go to the midnight screening, and the entire cinema was just laughing the whole film. It was ridiculous.
It's just so bad.
Yeah.
They're
Surprised.
I think Paranormal Activity was quite had a good impact on cinema history. Not so much anymore, but it was one of the first film adverts that I had seen where it was obviously based on true events. We know that to be false now, but just from the way it made the film seem was very... It was one of the only films that really got me sort of freaked out to go see it. And then I saw it and was like, nah, this was shit.
Yeah, it brought back found footage, because it brought it into the mainstream, because films had done it before, Rec had done it a year or two before. Blair Witch Project done it a decade before. But that film just like created this trend in horror movies that a lot of them were found footage because it was easy and cheap to make and made a lot of money back. But they also did a interesting thing with marketing it on its original American release, where they only put it in a handful of cinemas, and the marketing campaign was like, beg your cinemas to get this film played. So they were trying to make this word of mouth thing around different towns and stuff, getting people to like try and get their cinemas and stuff to play it, which is a bit of an interesting idea.
Yeah, that's quite cool.
I think every time a Christopher Nolan movie comes out, that's quite a big deal to people. And I don't think, like, when Tenet came out, I asked my family, I asked my like dad and my brother, oh yeah, I'm going to see the new Christopher Nolan movie, and they were like, who? So I don't think he's like a super, like, as huge a director as, like, say, like maybe Steven Spielberg, who literally everyone knows. But when his movie come out, oh come on! But when his movies come out, they are big. And I saw the
directed 3 a.m.
No, so I saw like the other month Inception for the first time in the cinema. Not for the first time, but for the first time in the cinema, and that was because it was the 10-year anniversary. And there were people coming out of that who hadn't seen the movie before. I was like, wow. Imagine experiencing that movie for the first time in the cinema. It was epic.
Yeah,
it was really great.
It was a great experience when I saw it. Because I saw it like release weekend. It was great.
Apparently, if you... Oh, sorry, Chris. Yeah, apparently, if you account for the Jesus Christ, I can't speak.
Inflation.
What's the word I'm thinking of? Inflation. That's the one. Fucking hell. I'm trying to say influctuation, just putting two words together. Apparently, if you account for the inflation of like money back then to the money today, apparently Titanic would still be the highest grossing movie if it like the money was the exact same as what it is now. Obviously, there's more money going around now than there was back then. But I think Titanic was, I'd say, would have been a great moment in cinematic history, just because it was, for the longest time until Avatar came out, the highest grossing movie. And again, that was a film that came out decades ago, which again, you're paying, well, money was scarce back then. Not scarce, but it's not as abundant as it is now. So it wasn't as easy to hit like $1 billion in the cinema as it is like now.
Yeah, I think if you want to know the sort of how influential these movies are on their release and how big an impact they made to cinema, you need only look at the highest grossing movies, and you'll probably find them.
Well, I'll say the majority of them are Marvel movies now.
Yeah, well, they're what's big now.
Yeah, Chris, can you get up like the top 10 highest grossing movies?
Yeah, I was actually just looking
to read
at
them out
list.
for us.
So 10's Frozen 2.
Yeah.
9 is Furious 7.
Wow.
8 is The Avengers.
Wow.
7 is the live action, or I wouldn't even say live action, the 2019 Lion King movie. 6 is Jurassic World. 5 is Infinity War. 4, The Force Awakens. 3, Titanic. 2, Avatar. And then, of course, 1's Endgame.
It's not what I expected.
No, that is... I can't believe Lion King 2019 is on that list.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Jesus.
I could have sworn I heard nothing but bad stuff about that.
Yeah, of course.
But then I could just be looking in the wrong places.
The problem is those
of course
live
it's a bad movie, but people saw it because they love Lion King.
Yeah, all those live action Disney movies sell ridiculous amounts of money. Like that Beauty and the Beast remake's number 17th on the list.
Is that with Emma Watson in?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that in the cinema. Ashamed to say.
I didn't.
I really hope you were dragged there by a girlfriend, not on your own accords.
He just went by
I went
himself.
with my sister.
Oh, fair.
But that was like when that sort of the trend of Disney
live
live
action
action remakes
movies.
was just sort of getting off the ground.
Yeah.
I think.
I
haven't seen a
Not as
single
ma-
one since.
I could have sworn there were many more Marvel movies in the top 10 list. Because, like, the majority of them films have grossed over billions of dollars. But it's a changing climate at the moment, so...
So every film in the top 47 films grossed over $1 billion.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, really.
Yeah,
That's what the people want.
So there are a lot of Marvel films in there, but not in the top 10.
I would say probably... I don't know exactly the reception it got on release, but I think probably when the Lord of the Rings movies came out, the first one, that probably did
Don't fucking
extremely
get me
well.
started.
Oh, come on. Don't you
Listen,
get me started.
I've said on many a times that I would watch all 3 of these films with you guys willingly, but no one wants to do it.
Because you said you'd watch them and point out every single problem with them.
Yeah.
It's no fun.
You're not
Yeah.
there to, like, enjoy the movies with us. You're just there to, like, shit on them.
So
Why would I want to do that?
Well, what happens when the movies come up in the... Sorry, Chris, carry on.
Return of the King is 24th highest grossing film of all time.
Yeah.
That is a good film in all
I'm
fairness,
not
though.
surprised. Oh, fuck off.
No, Return of the King is probably my favourite out of the trilogy. No lie. I had the Return of the King video game on PlayStation 2 and it was one of my favourite games.
Yeah, that game was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was sick. Then there was a Game Boy Advance version that I put into my GameCube with a little adapter, played it on that as well. Max, I probably know more about Lord of the Rings than you know about life.
All right. I really don't want to get into this with you, to be honest. I just...
Mate, what happens on the third scene of the second Lord of the Rings movie? Third scene.
I think if you're going for these grand movies that are sort of epic in scale, you're sort of bound to get a lot of people flocking to. But like, I don't know like what movies I could point to in recent years besides maybe the Marvel and DC movies that have done that, and maybe not even the DC movies to an extent.
No. I will say this, either before we end the podcast or start another recording of this Zoom call, but I do think that it is an incredible feat for Titanic to be in the top 3 grossing movies of all time when it probably wasn't an anticipated movie as much as what Avengers and Avatar was. Avengers had 10 years and 21 films behind it to give it a boost up to the number 1 spot, whereas Titanic was a love story, very basic, but it was just done so well. And I think...
Yeah, but Titanic was also based on like a true event, and this like catastrophic event that everyone knows about.
Yeah, shit, you know what? I did forget that Titanic was real.
Oh, okay.
The crazy thing
Never
is...
mind. Just to take everything...
That probably had a bit to do with it.
Crazy thing is, out of the 34 highest grossing films of all time, Titanic's the only film in that like first 34 that was released before the 2010s. Actually, no, tell a lie.
Jesus.
Wow.
Avatar's 2009, but like the rest still 2010 films.
Damn.
Yeah, even so.
What Chris just said about Titanic being the only film in the top 30 highest grossing movies, especially in the top 3 to come out pre-2010s, I just think is a testament to, I don't know, now that you've reminded me that it was based on true events, that could have had a major impact on why it was such a high grossing movie, but with a lot less going like backing it than Avengers and Avatar, I think it's pretty impressive how well it's held up, especially to still be in the top 3.
Yeah, and there's a lot of star power behind that movie as well. You know, you got Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet, and James Cameron directing. So you know, I wouldn't say it had nothing to go on.
No, I know that, but I was more touched on the fact that Avengers had 10 years going behind it, and Avatar was, what I can remember, just a very anticipated movie. But then again, I weren't around when Titanic was out in cinemas, or if I was a young boy,
Yeah,
so
it
I
was
couldn't really
97.
perceive what it was like back then. Yeah, so I would have been 3. So I have no idea whether it was anticipated or not.
Well, the cinematic landscape is very different now, I would say, than it was back in the 90s. I think people were more willing to take chances on movies that they didn't really know that much about, whereas now it's like there are people who won't go and see a movie if it's not like a Marvel movie, you know, in the cinema.
A friend of a friend is like that. He will only go to the cinema to see MCU films, but he will not go to the cinema to see anything else.
Yeah.
Mm.
I don't want to go into that really, but
Nah.
I don't agree with it.
Max's laptop doesn't have enough storage to go into that.
No, it doesn't.
So, I think we'll end this week's episode here. I've had a pretty interesting conversation. In all fairness, I've learnt a new fact that Titanic was real.
Yeah. At least we're learning. Hey.
Mad, innit? Neil deGrasse Tyson says, get your mind blown at least once a day. So there we go.
Oh, that Titanic actually happened. Jesus Christ.
Those poor people.
I thought they named the boat after the film.
Yeah, they did that exact thing.
That bitch really didn't move over and give him enough space on the door. What a cunt.
Then she just threw away those jewels that were probably worth a lot of money.
Yeah. Selfish.
She didn't care about the jewels. It was the love.
Yeah, well,
anyway,
like
this is a Titanic discussion now. We can't go into it.
Yeah,
we can't go
I
into it,
actually
Chris.
don't like Titanic.
Oh, all right. Just boot up another Zoom call. We're doing this again. All right. This is the Titanic cast now.
I don't like Titanic either.
Oh, well, that's it. Jesus.
Yeah, but that's mainly because it makes me think of my ex and like when I was happy. So.
Did you almost die in a huge boat crash?
Cheers, boys. No, never been on a boat.
Oh boy. Well, I think that's it for now. Thank you very much for joining in this chat, this discussion.
What episode are we up to, Max?
This is number 5, I think.
This is 6.
This is not 6.
Episode 6, yeah.
This isn't episode 6.
No,
it's episode 6 because I said in the chat, oh, Chris, shut the fuck up, man. Had a proper lie planned out and everything.
Well, you wouldn't have been able to lie. I know what episode we're on.
I guarantee I would have fooled you.
No, you would not have.
Well,
anyway.
We won't know now, will we?
I guess not. Thank you very much for tuning in. And stay safe. Stay inside if you're in the UK. Catch you next time.